Welcome to Introspectively Speaking. I'm Amber Linette, an avid podcast listener and 35-year-old girl from Miami, Florida, who one day felt inspired to share my personal stories and spill my own tea with the world. After a big dose of You Only Live Once, I'm creating the content that I so desire, but only ever read about in slice-of-life fiction novels. I'm an everyday person going through life's roller coaster, but choose to honestly, vulnerably, and introspectively share my stories with you in an effort to inspire a different kind of wellness. Transcendence through introspection for all. Though the very real stories in this podcast are about me, they'll also hold up a mirror to you. I encourage you to listen with an open mind and curiosity. On any given day, this podcast might make you laugh, or it might make you cry. And now it's time to go on some trails. Welcome back, listeners. And I really feel like I should just be welcoming myself back because it's been a long time, several months since I've recorded an episode. And I feel like every time I record one, it's like a habit. It's always been a while. So maybe my theme song should be Stained, It's Been a While. And I bet you now that I said that, you're going to be thinking of that song. So I'm sorry, not sorry, because it is a great one. I really like Stained. But anyways, yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on the mic. Truthfully, I have quite a few pre-recorded episodes lined up that I just haven't edited. This one in particular has taken me a very long time to edit because I'll get started and then I'll stop, and it's one of the most difficult ones that I've ever had to edit so far. Simply because I think my grandma, she's a true squirrel. It's either her age or she's actually ADD. And a lot of the content of what you'll hear in today's episode actually came from questions that I got from Instagram. You know, I let everybody know that I was going to be with my grandma in Ocala and put the call out for people to ask questions to my 96-year-old grandmother, and we got quite a few. Most of them were advice questions. And as you're going to hear in today's episode, she had a hard time answering a lot of them. She definitely wasn't prepared, I think, for the kind of questions that she got. It's funny because I listened to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's, did I say that right? Her podcast, which is called Wiser Than Me. And she interviewed recently a 90-year-old. And listening to her, that 90-year-old, and her thought process and how she speaks so eloquently and candidly made me really compare how my grandma responds to a lot of these questions. And I ultimately think it boils down to life experience. But anyways, I'll get more into that in a little bit. So it's October, and I think it's been about a year since I started my podcast. And like life, it has gone through seasons. When I started it, it was really a therapeutic, cathartic way for me to express myself and a lot of the life experiences I've had. And very quickly, I learned that so many other people also shared those same life experiences, and perhaps they just weren't things that we talk about out in the open. And I still think that is what this podcast will do for me and for others. But I am feeling like I have to really redefine my North Star. I'm going through a lot of personal life stuff, as we always are. And really, the life updates I have are nothing that I'm ready to share or desiring to share at the moment. But very real things are happening that, again, we don't talk about or hear enough about unless it's in our close social circles. So those who are listening who are in my close social circle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And gosh, I'm just so cryptic. I posted something on Instagram the other day and I was like, fuck, I'm so cryptic. I guess I speak in code sometimes. But anyways, I feel like I'm ready to finally get my ass back into gear and start recording and editing. I have a few episodes lined up. Me having conversations with close friends of mine that I've just been sitting there waiting to be edited, and I just haven't done it. Major procrastination, I guess. Maybe I can think about it as procrastination, but I also feel like depending on what's going on in our lives, sometimes we have energy that we need to reserve and put forth towards other things. And that is exactly what has been happening with me. My energy, I've been in power save mode. That's what I call it. Power save mode. It's, a mode that the bandwidth that I have is so limited that I can really only put energy towards certain things. Perhaps it's a healthy practice not to overload oneself and get all the things done that one wants to do. I do think it takes quite a bit of discipline, which I naturally don't have, but I'm trying to change my script in terms of how I see and treat discipline. Because if we just relied on motivation, if I just relied on motivation, this would happen. I wouldn't record an episode for months at a time and then come back on and record and then have a good, couple times recording and then I stop. I kind of like ghost the world. C'est la vie. But let's get into it. So today's episode, I really thought that it would be nice to record my grandma. I have so many conversations with her. All the times that I've seen her, and I've tried recording before, like on video and stuff, but I have a fucking podcast. Like, why would I not have my grandma on the podcast and record her and just have this time capsule that I can always reflect back on and listen to? So with that being said, I want to set the tone for you, kind of paint the picture of where this interview with my grandma took place. So my grandma right now is in a rehab facility. If you've been following the podcast, then you know that she's sort of been in and out of hospitals and rehab and back home. And for the past few months, though she was home for quite some time, she suffered a tumble. She went back into a rehab facility, they've been taking really great care of her. And she hasn't gotten out quite yet. Physically, she's doing a lot better, but at the time when I went to go see her, she was sort of fresh into the rehab facility. And so she's in a semi-private room, which means that there are 2 beds in the room with a curtain in between. And so she has a neighbor. It actually turned out to be quite a good thing for her because they would kind of talk to each other between the curtain and she had company. So that was really nice. But all of that being said, she had an oxygen machine going off the whole time. The audio is it's not the best. So just, fine tune your hearing as you listen to it. I do wish that I had subtitles as you listen to it. But I think you're going to get a lot of good nuggets from today's conversation. The interview itself, because I had to edit so very much of it, and like I mentioned before, I learned that my grandma is a squirrel. I would ask her one question and then she would veer off into something completely different. I really had to chop up our interview to make it relevant, to make it easier to listen to, and overall keep it fairly punchy considering that, she's 96. We take many different trails, from life advice to love advice. That was probably my favorite thing to hear her talk about, was her relationship with my grandpa. And, I think a lot of her stances on things are that of a 96-year-old. So keep that in mind as you listen to her. Her view on things is very different than how, especially as a feminist, we might see things today. Some of that you might pick up on as you listen to today's episode, but nonetheless, interesting perspective. Very interesting perspectives, especially when it comes to like long-term relationships. That's where the interview really shined today. So all of that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the recording and hope that you find some nuggets of wisdom, inspiration, maybe a few giggles from my charming and candid 96-year-old grandmother, Dorothy Sreenan. Enjoy. All right, welcome, Grandma, to my podcast.
Okay.
How are you feeling about it today?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm not up and around the way I want to be, but day by day we'll get there, you know.
That's right.
And
That's
so-
right. So this is what we're going to be doing. You know, I always bring my camera and take pictures of you and things like that.
Yeah.
I know it's like your favorite thing that I do.
Not when I'm in the hospital room.
But you look really, really good. So anyways, I let everybody know, meaning people on my social media account, which is like, it's kind of like Facebook. I have a Facebook, but it's called Instagram. So it's the same concept, and like people follow me and I can post things and they can post things. And I let all of them know that I was going to come see you because you're famous on my Instagram.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes. So
Famous someplace, huh?
there you go. And so what I did is I told everybody, I was like, hey, what questions do you want to ask my grandma? And they gave me a bunch of questions to ask you. So are you ready to answer some of them?
Uh-huh.
All right. Great. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Are you ready
For what?
to answer the questions?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So you can take as long as you need to think about them, or you can just tell me whatever comes to the top of your mind. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. If you could tell your younger self any advice, what would it be and why?
My younger self, I don't know what I would do, to be very honest with you. I don't know what kind of question to ask.
I will give you a little spoiler alert. A lot of people wanted to ask your advice on different things. So we're going to have quite a few questions that are going to be asking for advice on different things, okay?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll skip that one for now because
Yeah.
I think we have some more that are a little more specific that might help you come up with some advice, okay?
Get my mind going.
Get your
my
mind going. That's right. Okay, so here's another one. What is something you learned later in life? Maybe that you didn't know when you were younger.
I don't know. I'm always myself. I don't know of anything that was very prominent in that happened, because I did everything when it was a lie. We both did it together, and then after he died, I was doing it by myself, but everything's been going fine.
Okay, let's see. I think you already answered this question. Somebody else wanted to know if you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go? Would it still be Italy? If you could go anywhere right now?
Well, I'd like to go, but it'd have to be someplace adventurous, I guess.
What kind of adventure? I just got an eye roll, people. All right, we're moving on. Ooh, this is a good question, okay?
Okay.
All right. What is one of your happiest memories?
Oh, I suppose it'd be my wedding day and that.
Tell us all about your wedding day.
It was a big adventure all day. I mean, I went and did things that, that didn't do otherwise, and
Like what?
I got married. Got married and went and had a big party and left and went on a honeymoon. And that was it, And was gone we were gone for a week. He took a week off work and that, so.
Would you say that you and Grandpa were in love?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What did that feel like? To be in love?
Good, I don't know. And it was probably the natural reaction, really. But I met somebody that cared about me, and he cared about me, and I cared about him. It was accidental that we met, but that's all right. We met. You're trying to find out all about me?
Oh yeah, me and all of my listeners are wanting to find out all about you. You know what I think it is, Grandma? I think it's not very often that when I say we, I mean people, get to know and be so close to somebody who is your age.
Yeah.
Like, you're 96, and I talk about it all the time. Like, I mean, oh my God, all the time I talk about you.
Uh-huh.
And everybody is so, curious to know what it would be like to have a conversation with somebody who's 96, because, that means that you've had a lot of life experience, you've lived through like so many different eras, and they want your wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm asking you these questions today.
Oh.
Because I want to bottle up your wisdom and give it to people.
Oh.
And I think you're going to help a lot of people, or at least put smiles on a lot of people's faces. Yeah.
So, well, I always try to be good to everybody, So everybody respects me, and everybody,
Yeah.
it seems like, I can't say that anybody won't come to see me because they don't like me or something.
That's definitely not one of the reasons. Let's go back to your wedding. Let's go back to your relationship with Grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell everybody who's listening, who's currently in a relationship or married, or maybe who, I don't know, wants to get married, anybody, tell them what you think is the secret, what is the secret to success of a marriage?
Loving one another. If you love one another, your whole life will follow through. But you have to love. And so many people want too much attention or too much. They don't know what the meaning of love is, I don't think. It's a deep feeling, and I don't think a lot of people realize, even when they get married, that they're getting married for love. They're getting married because of that. It's something that became natural as far as Ed and I was concerned, but does it to everybody? No, I don't think it does, And everybody went along with us,
Yeah.
We never.
Did you and Grandpa ever get into any fights where you were just mad at each other?
Well, I imagine so. I mean, but it didn't last very long. Because we never would let it get into a place where it was going to hurt us. One of us would give in if it was the other one, or that, and how it was. It depended upon. We were pretty good on that, I mean, as far as that's concerned.
So is it that one of you would like apologize, or is it that one of you would just say, like, how did you repair any arguments or any issues?
I don't know. We always saw eye to eye, but I thought that was the way husband and wife does things, They don't fool around, And so, and if there's something he did that I didn't like, I said it, and it was vice versa. He did the same to me. But we'd talk it over, and we'd do it that. So, but nevertheless, I don't go like some people go months and that without talking to their husband or things like that. I never did that, and he didn't do it either. Your life was too short, and you can see where it was,
Yeah.
It really wasn't short, but,
I think that's really valuable advice, though, because I think what you're saying, right, is that what I've heard so far is that love is a deep feeling that not many people realize or have a grasp on, And I think when it comes to relationship, it's inevitable that you're going to have issues, arguments, things that you don't like, or, whatever that might be. But in your case, you and Grandpa always told each other, like, hey, I don't like this is not working for me, and then you would talk it out, as opposed to like letting it just stew, for some time, which is hard. I think it's hard. Did you feel like safe telling Grandpa those things?
Oh yeah, but a lot of times I would get into an argument, I'd go. I could even just get in the car and drive for a while and come on back and 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 uh, and and get back to where we belong.
So you took some space.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. I don't know. It was an easy one to live with. A lot of people didn't think so, but I did. And that was what was important.
That's what mattered, right?
Yeah. And living alone is difficult, so, but I'm getting along okay.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who are new to living alone?
Not really, because I don't know, it all come natural as far as I'm concerned.
My God, I wish everything came naturally to me, Grandma. Teach me. Okay, so let's move on.
Well, it's what you make it to be.
Okay.
If you can dwell on something that you should not even be thinking about, a lot of times. And that isn't the basis of your argument at all. It's something else, But I am sure we got mad at one another once in a while. We're human. But we always came out of it all right. Our one thing was, you never go to bed mad. Never. You always apologize. You always say good night. You always, calm with each other. You have a loving spirit before you go to bed with each other. And that is where a lot of people, they get upset with each other, and they split up bedrooms, and they sleep in that. I did that once, and I stayed in the other bed for about an hour or two, and went back to where he was.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd say I gave in before he did, but actually it all turned out to be pretty good. We just never thought that would ever meet anybody that they would fall in love with one and be happy with one another.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing, or it is missing now. So don't miss him like I thought I would miss him now. You know what I mean?
Well, Grandpa, if you're listening, it's because one day you're going to be reunited with Grandpa. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on with the questions, but I'm probably going to circle back to some more Grandpa stories because I think that's the best. And so far, I love everything that you're sharing. So if you could go back in time and change anything, would you? And if so, what would it be?
I don't know what I would change. Because I wouldn't want him to live any longer than he lived, because he would suffer. He was suffering. And I can't stand anybody suffering. And he had a short suffering period. But I was there for it and was able to handle it. That's the thing that people pull away from their partners, because they don't get involved too far with it, do their thing and think that that's enough, and it's not. You've got to get together, both of you got to get together and work things out.
So there's nothing then that you would change?
I don't think so. I don't know what I would change.
Is there any moment in your life, do you regret anything in your life?
That he died.
Oh.
But that's the thing. It had to be. It had. Yeah. Like I say, I wouldn't want him living and suffering.
Yeah.
And he suffered enough. People don't realize it. But it seemed like whatever I wanted, he wanted, and we always had the same feeling towards things.
Yeah. You guys never wanted different things?
Oh, we wanted things, yeah, but it's like, no, we didn't have any kids, and that was a thing that I thought we would have. But the adoptions came up, and we adopted them, and that to me was probably the best thing that could be done.
Yeah.
What are we going to go through here with?
We got some more questions for you. Okay, here's another question asking for advice, all right? So many people want advice from you. Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I can have advice.
Because, again, people want your wisdom. So what is the best advice you can give a person in their 30s
And they're 30.
And they're 30, who's in their 30-year age range. Think about when you were 30.
I got married at 23. At 30, I was married, but we're traveling with Ed. But I don't know how to answer that question.
I think you also bring up a good point, Grandma, that you were married at 20. So you got married at 23 years old.
Yeah.
And if if I think about it, most people in my age range they don't get married that young anymore typically. So okay. Oh look, this is a good one. If you could give me one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think you have to think about that one, because it covers so much.
You have a lot of advice to give me, or what?
No, it's just that which direction do you really go in giving advice? I would give advice to you because you're living the life that you are familiar with and that, and it's just a different life than mine.
How would you say my life is different than yours?
Well, I don't want to say a little more of upscale, but really, when it comes right down to it, to me, when I was going, I probably was upscale myself and not realizing it. And now, see you kids come up in that, and it seems that you're more upscale than even I was, I lived a different, my life was so different. I started out different and ending up different,
Yeah. Well, you grew up on a farm.
Yeah. So, and there's not, every so often somebody says something, I know it's related to being a farm girl that I did these things. Other people don't do them.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to realize that a lot, Your life is so much different than what my life was. And it seems like the kids today, it goes easier. Maybe it doesn't, but it looks like it, what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're going at it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I don't know of anything that could change your life or mine, I'm too old to change anything now.
All right, another question.
Okay.
Eye roll, I'm getting an eye roll. Okay, so this one is, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? So the last question was, what would you tell your 30-year-old self? Now this is your 40-year-old self. Is there anything you would have told yourself?
10 years older.
Yeah.
I always had my faith in God and prayed and did the best I could. But that's the only thing you can do is to keep ahead. Never look back at your mistakes. You may have made a lot of mistakes, but don't look back at them. Because once you make a mistake, it's made, but you can't correct it if it's not too serious. But I haven't made any of those kind of mistakes, I don't think.
Okay, so that's good.
My mistake is living.
You're mistake-free. Oh my God, please teach me the ways. Okay, so let's talk about that though. So your advice is don't spend time looking back at your mistakes, right? Because once the mistake is done, it's done.
Yeah.
But then what do you do moving forward?
Or you just look forward to the next day and see what you can get out of the day that is going to be good, I pray a lot, and prayer does a lot, and so many people don't pray the way they should pray, but I've always done that, and so
Yeah.
and I've always made sure that my morning starts out with prayer and ends with prayer, and I think you can't go wrong if that's what you do, But
I love that. Yes, you are devoted to your faith. So, Okay, so here's the next question: what has been your favorite decade?
trying to think what I've done in those years that would make it memorial.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything that I've done
But maybe it was like not necessarily something you did, but more maybe like it could be the political climate or like women's rights, you know, the environment you were in. So 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. You've lived through them all.
Yeah.
And people really want to know which one you like the most.
Oh. That's a thought.
And maybe you liked multiple.
Because when you stop and think of it, which one gave you the most, the happiest time? And I won't say anything, and after Ed died, I can't say that I'm happy, but I mean, I'm not. It's a different happiness.
Yeah. Did Grandpa ever tell you, like, you're so beautiful?
Oh, yeah. And I'd say, look the other way.
What?
Tell him to look the other way. No, he always said to me, you're beautiful. That's why I fell in love with you that way, you know, because I would never expected to ever fall in love, and that was the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it all came naturally.
Well, why would you tell Grandpa to look away when he would call you beautiful?
Because I don't feel, I never felt that I ever was beautiful, you know what I mean? I'm just an ordinary person, you know.
So you've never thought, like, have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and been like, I'm beautiful?
No, but, well, you look to see, make you look all right. I imagine you say you're looking pretty today, but as far as making a big thing out of it, no.
What about sexy? Did you ever feel sexy?
No. I probably did, but I had a husband.
But not so much now. We're not pulling out the sexy 90s now, are we?
No. That's for sure. No. I don't. I'm not out looking for anybody, that's for sure. And that's why I laugh where we live. There are so many women that are alone, but there's a lot of men that are alone. But you know what? None of them are getting together, you might say. We're all there, we're talking with one another, we're friends. And everybody's a friend, but not. And once in a while, one of the men will bring a woman in and stay for a while, but then they finally end up there. She leaves, you know. And but they're pretty much by themselves. I mean, you know, it's a community. I don't think you can find a community like we're living right now.
It's not like full of people who are elderly people who are dating.
No.
What do you think about that? Do you think that people like at 80 or in your age even like could find love again?
Oh, I suppose if you worked at it, but no, but you know, look at some of these guys coming in, you know, and usually they've lost their wife or they split up somehow or another, you know.
Yeah.
But they're not out for sex. They're not out for, you know, see a couple times there earlier when we lived there. There was some of these guys that go rapping on doors for women and want to have sex, you know, and that.
Really?
But that wore off real quick. Yeah.
Who the freaking A was doing that?
Huh?
Who was doing that?
Yeah. So out there, I don't know, once in a while, these men would, you know, I suppose I'd see how far they could go. I don't know. Never tried me, thank goodness.
Thank goodness they saw that Grandpa was there. Okay, let's see what other questions we have here.
Too many.
Okay, people want to know what is your, it's not, I guess, yeah, what is your biggest regret from your younger self? Something that you did when you were young that you regret.
I don't think I really have any regrets because when I left home, I don't regret that because I was going on with life. When I got married, then I went with Ed. And wherever he wanted to go, we went. And we went from state to state and things like that. And did things that was normal to do
Yeah.
as a husband and wife. And really, I never said. I suppose there was times I can remember. Sometimes I got mad. I'd go get in the car and just go driving, and I did that. And that's the way I worked off some of my anger sometimes. Was get in the car going and just going down back roads and things like that. Not so much down here, but at home. And I'd go where I'd be by myself for that. I can remember one time Danny was really acting up, and I took him and put him in the car, and we just went for a long drive. Then I went way out where nobody was, parked the car, said, "Let's talk." And that worked. I didn't have any kind of anybody to say I was doing wrong, but anyway, it straightened him out at the time.
Yeah.
And and there was no big argument.
Oh, that's good.
You know, so many times people sit and argue over something that they shouldn't argue over, and I never went into that.
Yeah. Do you think that there are some topics that people should not argue over?
You don't argue about religion. You don't argue about things that we did. If we're going to argue about it, we didn't do it, and so. But it all came out okay.
All came out in the wash,
Yeah.
right? That's what you say?
That's what I keep saying. Everybody's getting tired of hearing me say that.
Oh, okay. The last 3 questions that we have here are really good ones, okay? They're fun. What is your favorite music genre?
My music, what?
What is your favorite kind of music?
Oh, probably waltzes.
Waltzes, is that what you said? Okay.
It's soothing. You stop and think about it. Does that answer that one?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say more. Yeah, okay.
No.
Ooh, this is a really good one, okay? What's your favorite ice cream?
They're all good.
You don't discriminate, right? You don't discriminate. You love all ice cream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can sit down and have vanilla ice cream and be happy. But some people's got to have, if I have to have something on it, I put chocolate on it, or I do something different. But
Well, whenever I come, I usually get you like really fun flavors, right?
Yeah.
Like Rocky Road
Yeah.
or Cherry Garcia. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. Cherry Garcia or
yeah.
I don't know, Neapolitan. We try all different kinds
Yeah.
of ice cream. So, okay. What does a good date look like to you? So let's pretend that Grandpa was still alive, okay? And you could go on one last date with him. What would you want to do?
I'd probably do something that was in the travel field, where I don't know, if there's some place that we've never been before, some place that is interesting.
I have another question, Grandma. What are your thoughts on same-sex marriage?
I can't see it. As far as I'm concerned, you're friends, and I never think of you wanting. If you wanted sex, you would have gotten married. You know, you wouldn't be living with.
No, you're good. Go on.
I don't think you'd be living with another woman. You're the only one that has done this, and and I don't know sure if you're happy with it or not, but it looks like you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you seem to get along okay together. I don't know how you ever thought of doing it. I lived with I lived with the girls. When we were going to college, all of us girls were living in a house. I was with my sister.
Yeah.
In the bedrooms with my sister, but the other ones weren't. They were with just a bunch of girls that was going to the business college, and they were renting a room in this woman's house, and so that was the closest. But as far as anybody ending up with anybody, the girls lived together, but they were, well, there was nothing sexy about it, that's for sure. You know, Mary and I lived in a room by ourselves. But all the rest of the girls were not. They were all just single girls that were there to go to college, and so.
Would you say that your relationship with Grandpa was your most important one?
Oh, sure. No, never do anything that he didn't want me to do, or he didn't. There's so many times people cheat on one another, but that never happened, as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not too many people. Our friends all really, but.
Loyal man right there.
Yeah. That's why I miss him so much.
Because he was so loyal, yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna ask. I know how we're gonna get some answers about advice. Okay.
Okay.
If you could get, and you can give me the advice, right? If you could give me one piece of advice so that I stay healthy, what would it be?
Stay healthy?
Yeah.
That was hard to think about. For a long life, you've got to work at it. You can't just slip over the top, I always look forward to what is going to happen, and how it's going to happen, and where I can fit in the best with everything. If I can't fit in, I don't do it.
Okay.
And but the world keeps changing.
Yeah. How important do you think exercise is?
Oh, it's real important. You can't keep your mind going if you don't exercise. And I think your exercise goes along with your mind and your whole body. But you just stay laid in bed or just stay sitting in someplace, and you're going to just be blah. And so it's better that you get up and keep going, keep going as much as you can. And that's why I think that I've lived as long as I have lived, and the way I have lived. Because nothing has ever held me down, except this.
But you always make it back up.
But this has folded me down.
Yeah.
And so, I know in time, sometimes I lay here and I think, I know this is gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this period, but I'll try as hard as I can, say my prayers and get everything done as far as, guess where our priest went?
Where?
Alaska.
Why? Just when you were starting to like him once and for all. He had this deal of going to Alaska, and there's not enough priests up there, and so he's going to go up there and say masses in different parishes and be gone a whole month. Oh, but only a month.
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming back. I thought he like moved to Alaska forever.
No. As far as I know, the girls were saying that it's just that it's going to be just for a month, and it's coming back.
Okay.
But
not too bad.
And I think priests from here are going to do that because there's no priests up there. There's Catholics there and everything else, but there's nothing to say mass and things on.
Yeah. Well, Grandma, this has been a lovely conversation that we've had. I think people got to learn a lot about you, and I'm definitely gonna record you more throughout this weekend. Some more fun questions. Maybe we can get some more. But for this episode today, how would you like to say goodbye to everybody?
Well, I hope everybody finds their way of living and abide by it, There's so many people are living, I should say, on the fence, not knowing where they're going, and it's you just can't live that way.
And that was my conversation with my 96-year-old grandma, Dorothy Sreenan. I love that woman. And, as each day passes, I'm thankful that she's still here with me. Because I don't know, nor does she, right? Nobody knows when her last day on earth will be. But I know that I'm so very grateful that I got that time with her, that I continue to have time with her, and I definitely don't take it for granted. I'm fortunate to have my grandma around still, and I realize that not a lot of people do. So I just can't express enough how grateful I am to have her in my life. I hope you got to get to know her a little bit more beyond what I share on Instagram. She's definitely sassy, as I'm sure you could hear. There were many eye rolls, lots of laughs. She has such a great sense of humor. And I know the day that she goes, I'm gonna miss her very, very much. So with that being said, here's tonight's reminder as I wrap this episode up. Not to take people in your life for granted. They say that life is short, and I know for many people it is. For my grandma, her life has been long and beautiful. And as a matter of fact, God willing, she'll be turning 97 this month on October 26. So, this episode is for Granny. Happy early birthday, Grandma. I can't wait to play it back for her so that she can hear this lovely time capsule. Thank you so much for tuning back in after my couple months hiatus. I sincerely hope to continue putting out these hidden episodes that I have recorded. And as always, sending you a big, big hug. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Introspectively Speaking. If you haven't already, please give the show a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple. Do you think someone could benefit from listening to this episode? Engage in my favorite love language and share this podcast with someone you know. Until next time, sending you a big, big hug. This podcast was written, recorded, and produced by me, Amber Linette. And the theme music you've been hearing is a song called Mirrors by pianist and songwriter Santi Alfaro.